if any, and those who belong to another parish. Please note that there will also be a display of lists of persons recommended for deletion from the voters register for a period of 6 days from the 5th of May to the 10th of May 2022. The purpose of this supplementary display is to enable any person who may have been wrongly recommended for deletion to raise an objection to the parish tribunal. The parish or ward tribunal may reinstate the person if convinced of the genuineness of an objection.
Even with my grandson, a doctor at my side, I struggled to get the help I needed. But he saw something that day. He began to work day and night. He wouldn't quit, even when people said no. He wouldn't stop fighting. He knew something had to change, and his vision was bigger than anyone could imagine. He made it possible to receive quality medical services anywhere in Uganda by simply using a phone.
This is a story of a regular Ugandan just like you, who harnessed the power of technology to provide a solution for us. How about you tell us your story? UG needs more of you. To share your story, visit airtel.co.ug/UG needs more of you or call or SMS 162. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Football packages, great entertainment,
sports, the local content, telenovela, the movies. There is something for everybody. Everybody. Go TV, this is where our stories live.
Get the best entertainment for any budget. With GoTV, you will have great entertainment for as little as 13,000 Ugandan shillings per month. GoTV, great stories, Zidiwano. GoTV Uganda, love it.
Choose our with Airtel Money Quick Loans. Get a top-up loan when you have insufficient funds to buy airtime, pay utility bills, or make payments at a local supermarket. Complete your transaction and pay later. Dial *185*7*10# to opt in. Get an Airtel Money Quick Loan and pay later. Choose our with Airtel Money Quick Loans in partnership with Housing Finance Bank and powered by Yabex. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome back from the break. This is Behind the Headlines this Wednesday, the 27th of April 2022, and a very interesting week running in this country, around the region. So many new things happening of interest to discuss. And in the studio, I have the Honorable Brandon, who is spokesperson of the NRM caucus in Parliament. We have Mr. Nagenda, who is the chairperson of Kasita. We have Paul Omara, MP, who also sits on the budget committee. We have Honorable Mapenduzi, who sits on the local government accounts. And we have Councillor Sarah, who is Executive Director of the Center for Constitutional Governance. Before we went for the break, Brandon, I had promised you 2 minutes to wind up on this particular topic on coffee and how, in your view, it will be finalized, and then we can go to another topic to touch on.
Like the rest of the discussants have brought it clearly, we really need to stand. The beauty in this is that tomorrow we have the report. As a whip, like I whipped members to go to the NRM caucus, I'm whipping you. All that are seeing us, we have started actually sending messages. Let us come and defend what we have. We are doing this in very great faith that we love this country. And we don't actually, as NRM, we feel great pain that we have some people that want to impose on my chairman some wrongdoings, because I know him as a clean man. I know him as a man who loves this country. So we wouldn't want these people to come with their dirty hands and wash hands on him. We have had a lot in this country. One of my friends sent me a message yesterday when we were going to the caucus. And these were his words. He said, "Oof, you have finished us." The moment they saw buses going, they all said, "You have finished us." But when we came back, yesterday in the evening, the whole country was jubilating. Charles, you don't want to know the amount. I'm privileged that I still keep my phone, being the publicity secretary in Parliament. So I constantly got messages. The whole country was tensed. We want to give hope and tell these people that this house, like Madam Kansas said, this is another arm of government which is supposed to do work as it's mandated. So we want to assure the Ugandans that we shall legislate well, and as you have all heard, we shall stand and defend. This is our right. Today I'm a member of Parliament, tomorrow I'll not be. Maybe I have 3 or 5 plantations of coffee. Those days you would even sell a cup in my village, Buenge. You'd sell a cup of green coffee just within the garden, and you'd have money to buy books, which totally went off, and which they are trying to deny us this time. So we are saying we all love this country, we want to freely participate in this economy, and we want to promise Ugandans the best. We shall save this. We are here to do our legislation role. So I call upon the members of Parliament tomorrow. Like we stood, let us come and defend this, and we do our role to protect and develop our economy together.
Thank you very much. Sounds good, sounds promising, sounds very hopeful, and I feel proud.
Actually, Charles, last week I told Madam Sarah, she was very doubtful, and I said, look, I have a lot of confidence in the 11th Parliament. Now you can hear. I hope I hope your faith is beginning to grow.
We are glad. We wish you could exercise maximum authority in all matters. But I have said you have all the authority.
Thank you.
No, I am very hopeful. I'm personally very hopeful. That's taking it from, you know, the caucus. The Constitution actually mandates Parliament, and you know, when you sit in a constitutional class of that, you know, especially that of that great lawyer called Professor Oloka Onyango,
yes.
You know, and he will tell you that there is also a reason why the lawmaker, the CA, decided to put Parliament as Chapter 6 before the executive in Chapter 7 and then the judiciary in Chapter 8. Yeah. That it's because of certain, you know, but so you are really
no, the Parliament is supposed to be more powerful than the executive.
It's called order of precedence.
Oh yes. You said it better. Let's move to something else, which is also close to the heart of the local person, commodity prices. And I just want us to run through it very quickly. Starting with let's start this with Kasita Man, Musoke. The Musoke Nagenda. People are crying. It's one of the things, again, that MPs discussed, and we want to see, is there a solution in sight? Are we supposed to leave it to the free market economy, as it were? I was checking this evening as we were coming to the show. Someone sent me the latest from fuel. Diesel now has surpassed petrol in the price.
And that
you understand? Diesel is with one of the petrol stations, Total. Diesel is at 5,450 a liter, and petrol is 5,400. And the implication of diesel being so high is huge. Everything is affected around the country, therefore, because the lorries, the trucks, name them, the factories, all of them run on diesel, and nothing to actually be overemphasized. What is the feeling of an organization of traders like Kasita? How, you know, what is the pulp saying? How is this going to be resolved? In 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Charles. You know, like Kasita, we got several petitions from our members. What's happening? why prices escalating at a rapid speed, and then how was the government coming to assist to control this whole situation? So what we did as Kasita, we had to rush and petition the Parliament. One time we were at Serena, and then when we were discussing with the MPs, they told us that this is a golden moment, that since Uganda is going to now utilize the natural resources of petrol, so it will give the mandate to Ugandan government to invest so that it enjoys the escalating prices of petrol. So later what we did...
That's in 5 years.
No, that's what they told us. I'm telling you some of the quality of the MPs whom we discussed with. I don't want to clearly name the names. But later what we did, we petitioned the Ministry of Trade and then Ministry of Finance to see how can we formulate a committee to analyze the situation and find possible solutions. But we didn't get a very positive response. So what we did, we petitioned the president, and then the president ordered the Minister of Finance to contact Kasita and formulate a special committee. So through that committee, Finance is represented, and then Minister of Trade, and then other stakeholders, Uganda Manufacturers Association, to find what is causing this inflation. And for us currently, as Kasita, we are terming it as an economic crisis, where we are calling upon the government to come out clearly and term it economic crisis. Reason: when we met at the Ministry of Finance as the committee, we recommended these recommendations. First of all, we said that can the government try urgently to improve public transport? In this, we thought it can reduce on the demand of petrol or diesel, in the way that if the public transport is so convenient, there is no way like Musoke from Mukona you should drive to Kampala. In that, the demand can reduce. Secondly, we had a recommendation of reinvesting and revamping the rail transport, because it was very key. That's even the recommendation we made to the COVID task force during the COVID-19 restrictions. Because like the trucks which were coming in Uganda were facilitating transmission of COVID-19. So we said, why can't we utilize the railway? We are home and the cargo is coming in. So the ministry told us they're going to engage, and we find that there is a way we can fully utilize our railway. Even we reminded them that there are some 4 locomotives which we launched at Uganda Railways. Why aren't they operational? Because rumor moving around is like even we bought fake. I don't know if the word fake is okay, but they're not operational locomotives. But they costed Ugandan taxpayers' money a lot of money, in billions. Okay. Why aren't they operational? One time I was shocked to find one locomotive labeled Kenya Rail. It was assisting to transport some material to roofing. So it means we need to seriously investigate, are these locomotives operational? Or then, because we thought that if the railway is revamped, just in brief, if the railway is revamped, you know, it can assist in reducing the demand of diesel. So if the cargo, like 20 trucks, are transferred to railway, automatically we are reducing that demand. And even we are cheapening the transportation of the goods. Okay. Second, we thought that there is a cartel where these local manufacturers who are pretending to be manufacturers, they're importers. So they're trying to create that artificial shortage, whereby you find that the bag of cement, which was costing 26, now it's at 40.
45.
So
I was in West Nile last week, 45, 46.
So for us, we are suggesting that now, but if you are purchasing that bag from Pakistan, it can reach at 20. Can the government, through Uganda Revenue Authority, allow Kasita and the members to outsource possible cheap products? Automatically, our local manufacturers will reduce the price.
Honorable Paul, is this shortage artificial? is it realistic? What's driving it? Is it controllable? Does government have a role to play? Does Parliament have a role to play to save people?
Thank you, Charles.
Soap in some places is now 8,500 a bar.
Even above 10,000.
10,000 in some places of country.
Charles, allow me to just be a bit technical here. If you look at the macroeconomic position of the country relating our outlook on inflation, from the UBOS statistics, which actually Bank of Uganda rely on, has put our headline inflations at 3.6, 3.7%, with core inflation standing at 3.2%. Now, Bank of Uganda has been given a guideline by the Minister of Finance that your target of inflation is 5%. So I've had the chance to talk to the governor, and at the central bank, which is mandated, by the way, the institution mandated in Uganda to control inflation. They are saying at the moment now, we cannot use the available monetary instruments, which is the bank rate and using treasury bonds and bills to swap the money in circulation, because the demand is there, the money is in circulation. So the central bank has said, until the target which you have been given, which is 5%, is reached, our hands are tied. We are doing nothing. Then the second side which you have is basically the fiscal policy, which is looking
by Ministry of Finance?
By the Ministry of Finance, to look at possible tax waivers or even providing subsidy. That's the other arm which is remaining. Yesterday at the caucus, this matter came up, and the president was very firm on the matter. He said, you know what, I'm not in a position to provide any subsidy to anybody. Okay?
We don't have the money.
We don't have the money. We are not going to provide subsidy. Then also on taxes, he said, oh, no. It's not possible for us to provide tax waivers or something on some of those essential commodities. Which means now from the monetary side, which is where the central bank sits, they are watching, they're saying our target is 5%, we can't touch. From the fiscal policy, where government sits, they could provide subsidy or tax waiver. The president is saying that's a no-go area. We can't do that. Because his position was, if we provide subsidy, then it's going to affect our reserves and our four-month import cover, because our reserve is about $4.2 billion. Now, I would advise the president differently, that providing a subsidy or a tax waiver does not affect our dollar reserves. Because basically the taxes we collect it in shillings. The subsidy you would provide it what? In shillings. Our dollar reserves remain. So Charles, I'm wondering what kind of economies are surrounding the president. You see, that's also a big problem. You cannot have a discussion on national dollar reserves and import cover in relations to providing subsidy in local currency or having tax waiver on the fiscal side of the thing. Now, Charles, that's it. So which means at the moment, the message to Ugandans is that from the chief himself, there is not going to be any immediate intervention in this. But also I should say that the ED of UBOS said from where they're seated as UBOS, they are seeing an inflationary rate of 0.5% every month. So they're saying the 5% mark, which has been given by Minister of Finance to Bank of Uganda, will be reached very soon.
Within, say, 4 months? Within
4 months. If it goes at the way it is going, that 5% will be blown up, and then Bank of Uganda will then act in to basically reduce, force the bank to reduce lending, that is actually controlling the private sector credit. Then they will use monetary instruments to really swap all the money within the economy, so that you will actually find money will not be available. The prices will eventually drop. But also it has another problem.
But it will not be available to who is also a big issue.
It's a big issue.
Because it will be available to those who have a lot of it.
Not available.
And then there will be a huge gap to the least
of the little ones.
Yes.
And also
it will not be available as it is even now.
Another problem again as an economist, the country is just coming out of COVID. And you want an economy which is buoyant, where there's activities happening, there is exchange and there's trade and goods and services. A moment now you restrict private sector credit, which means again you're stamping on growth, the resuscitation of the economy. So now it's a problem. So whichever area you touch is a problem. My thinking would be that let's look at the essential commodities where the common man is grossly affected. And then we can see from a fiscal policy side what we can do to ameliorate that position.
Honorable Brandon, is that an issue that you as caucus and Parliament is going to be discussing to reach some level of consensus on, or you have left it to the executive to handle it their way? What can the people's representative do in that case?
First of all, that concern has been raised many times on the floor of Parliament as an issue of national importance. Very many members of Parliament, as members of Parliament, we have come up with recommendations to the floor, which are actually answered. And the Speaker also directed the Committee of Trade to make investigations and recommendations. As you hear Honorable Mara submit, I think we need such input. And government, the chairman of NRM, in his capacity, and in his capacity as the president of Uganda, he takes an oath to protect everyone and the welfare of all the Ugandans. So he's also mindful and looking at all. Of course, we have been having this conversation. We know COVID came. We have been talking about countries, wars, Russia, Ukraine, all sorts of excuses. We talked about the borders. Now they no longer test them. There is free entry, but we still have the same issue. Like you've just mentioned here about the diesel. As a country, Honorable Paul has just clearly stated, let us look at the essential. Last week, I sent my grandmother 10,000 shillings. And I thought it was comfortable enough. So she bought a bowl of soap. And then, you know, traditionally in Busoga, we like keeping. She got a knife.
Why did you send your grandmother only 10,000?
Because that's what I had at hand. By that time, it was on phone.
You know that your grandmother knows that you are an MP.
It was the needed.
You cannot give what you don't have.
Yeah.
10,000, he said it.
And that's what I had actually on the phone. But most important is that my grandmother bought a bowl of soap.
How about with the draw charges?
And then, of course, that was taken care of. That was taken care of. So, in the villages, we still live in an extended families. Yeah. We don't have gates. So she used the local knife to divide and keep a piece. Before she would even go and hang the clothes on the lines, these two pieces were stolen. And when she called me again, I was like, come on, I've just sent 10,000. And you tell me you don't have soap. Now, this is what is affecting, and it's affecting all of us. Our voters are constantly in our inbox. Somebody cannot even buy sugar. The Muslims like me on the other side, they are fasting. Every day we are having requests. My colleagues will bear witness. Ftali, this and this, because they can't afford. So we should pronounce ourselves as Parliament to still fully investigate. And I'm interesting my members. You know, resilience is very good. And when you resist, and luckily I'm in a party which is called National Resistance Movement. So we have to resist on some things. We don't just give up, but there is no solution. So as a spokesperson of the National Resistance Movement, we have to resist.
You know that discussion has come up that NRM was resisting the old government which was dictatorial, and that since they came to power, questions have been asked. What are you now resisting? And then I think the president one time said, you know, there are these corrupt people, thieves, you know, these terrorists, we are still resisting them.
So now
you have brought in another aspect of the continuous resistance. The unending resistance. Resistance to poverty, for example.
I am now calling upon Honorable Mara, my caucus member, and the rest. Let us resist and find solutions, because society is watching us, and we really have to find solutions. We shall really have a solution, and I have hope in this parliament. And I've just gotten a solution here when Omar was addressing it on the economic view. Let us prioritize now. Let us go down to the most simplest commodities and provide a solution. So giving hope, like I said, the chairman is mindful. We have also put committees. I'm glad that the chairman Kasita here came. Now this is the patriotism as all Ugandans. Because as Kasita, I would have said, what is government doing? But I've been co-opted on the technical committees to provide guidance, because they are down in economically. Actually, I was also among the people who thought that Kasita is only business for Kampala, those people putting up arcades and what. But now I've been enlightened more that I think I need to invite the chair of Kasita in Buwenge, because we also have business people operating on a small scale. So when we have such people readily available in the lowest economy, they will give us solutions. And I know we are going to provide as parliament. And now that Honorable Mapendu's already told you that there is hope, we have hope, because most of us, we have no plans of dying tomorrow. We want to stay here and deliver this country to the best.
For me, looking at this, I think we had a discussion, I think 2 weeks ago or the other week. I appeal to Parliament to start thinking seriously about empowering, yourselves with researchers and handle some of these national challenges should be handled scientifically. And we were discussing and saying there is a plan, actually, researched data by Ministry of Health that says that is it up to 78% of diseases are actually preventable. And that we spend trillions of shillings to give to Ministry of Health to cure otherwise preventable diseases. Now, if Parliament had good researchers and you empower them, and then you have a debate where you're saying, look, Ministry of Health has maybe, for example, 2 trillion that goes to curing or treating diseases that should be prevented. Now we have a situation where we need to give subsidy to areas for basic essential commodities like soap, like clean water, which can help prevent diseases. Therefore, you advise government, you stand and you, as an MP or as a group of MPs, and you say, Mr. President, we think that we can get this money from the consolidated fund and take it away from this department and put it here as subsidy to prevent diseases or to prevent this kind of further crisis. For me, I would be happy as a Ugandan.
Actually, Charles, just on that, we have a very strong research department in Parliament, and equally every department. Honorable Penduzi will tell you that from the other side, they also recruited so many research people. We have policy analysts, and they are doing a great job. Now, that's the question, that now we have gotten this alternative from Honorable Mara. We have to tell them that we should really concentrate, we should put priorities to things that can really affect and liberate people from the ground. But the research department is there, and they are really doing a very competent job.
Thank you. Honorable Mapenduzi, the issue of commodity prices, way forward.
Ladiru Mara talked from a very technical point of view. I'll take it down to the local man and woman. And I'll say that there is definitely need for us to step down a bit and begin to understand what is happening at the lowest level of the society. Things are not okay. And so I buy the suggestion you made, that as we look at ways of managing the situation, we need to start with what needs to be done immediately. For example, you are involved in the oil seed production.
Manufacturing cooking oil.
The local man and woman down there needs cooking oil. It's extremely expensive. why don't we support our own and begin to produce it here? The local man and woman needs soap, just like my brother put it. Why don't we support our own initiative and begin to have it here? So we need to, because we also have to be honest that yes, much as we are faced with this situation, it's not just only a situation for Uganda. In Kenya, I told you the other day, last month I was in Kenya, the situation is equally bad. In Tanzania, in almost every country is having this problem. So it's not just a thing, it's not only a thing for Uganda, but how much we are doing as a country to manage the situation, but also look at long-term solution is the most important bit. So I think there is need for, and I also, just as you put it, Charles, we don't need to wait until we hit that target. Then Bank of Uganda and the rest of the people begins to respond. Because what if we hit that target, you try to respond and you create more problem. So there are measures that can be taken now to deal with other areas that can be managed. But if we are looking at the price of fuel, if we are looking at how much we have to spend in exporting things from out and all that, there are things we need to manage locally and there are things we need to plan so we begin to reduce on the level of the things we import.
In fact, I want to provide information to my brother. Charles, like for example, cooking oil that he has talked about. Now, Uganda imports 80% of our cooking oil, the one that we eat. Yet we have 101 companies in Uganda that are producing cooking oil at whatever level. And it has about 3,000 metric tons capacity per day, but operating at 20% only. So there is that excess capacity.
Exactly.
What has happened 2 days ago is that Indonesia, where we import palm oil from, has banned exports of all cooking oil outside Indonesia. Malaysia is going to follow soon because Malaysia are now using palm oil to manufacture fuel. So they get more money on fuel than on cooking oil. So they will ban that one also. Remember when the president was very annoyed when we had our money, cash, US dollars in millions, to buy COVID vaccines. But the owners said, we haven't yet vaccinated our people. Let's finish. You die there until we are done. Then you can have it. So the president mentioned it yesterday about us domesticating our own palm here. But Charles, you already have 101 factories producing at 20% capacity. Now, what's honorable?
What is needed for them to produce at least at 30%?
Is for government just to get money and then provide seedlings to the farmers of the Greater North. You can start Karamoja, Teso, Sebei, Lango, Acholi, West Nile, and even Bunyoro. That entire enclave can produce.
And actually, you can have a solution within 6 months.
Not even 6 months, 3 months.
You can have.
So you just need to provide a budget, provide seedlings to the farmers. We have done that for coffee, as I mentioned before, that the president focused on coffee and made sure budget appropriation was made in that sector. Now we have 7 million coffee bags being produced every year. So if you focus on oil seeds, for us in the Greater North, we don't have perennial crops. So you give the Greater North the seedlings they need. In 3 months, the soya beans and sunflower will all be out there. And all these factories will be full. So your problem of cooking oil, which is now skyrocketing.
And even soap.
Even soap will be dealt with. Then even when the Malaysia bans their oil, Ukraine now you can't go there because there's war. In Uganda will be self-sufficient. Like we have done it with milk, we have done with sugar, we have done with our own food, banana, we have it here. So the cooking oil and soap, we can deal it here in 3 months.
Have you MPs told the president that? Or Ministry of Finance or Ministry of Agriculture?
We have discussed that with the 3 ministers of finance. As a budget committee, we are moving forward to have that conversation to consolidate so that we have some money available this financial year to provide for seedlings for the Greater North, so that we can give free seeds to those people, so that they can quickly do it, and then you fill up the factories. then you solve the problem. So the president now can, URA now can go and now collect taxes from the manufacturers. It's a win-win situation. And this is not rocket science. We should be able to do it quickly.
Sarah, your view.
Yes,
he gave very good information, but one of the information, my eyes opened wider. I thought one of the information he was going to give was that, is it possible for the solutionaries, I call them solutionaries, the people who are supposed to provide the solutions, to provide it immediately when many of them do not feel the pinch of buying fuel, for example. I thought that was going to be one of the examples.
Can I say something?
No, the members of
Charles,
parliament
as
buy
budget
fuel.
committee, we shall provide that money.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Members of parliament buy fuel.
Yes.
Maybe it's these typical civil servants who have fuel
we
cards.
buy fuel, but Honorable Brandon has just told you the kind of society we live in. We feel the pinch. Actually, we feel a lot more of that.
I know.
Yes.
I know your dilemmas. I really know it. So it's okay. One of those jokes. Sarah, solution.
Yes, I listened to the president, one part of his clip while addressing the caucus. And he spent more time explaining the disruption of the international supply chain because of COVID and lockdowns. But also when he was giving measures, he talked more of medium and long term. And I did not hear about short term. And Honorable Mara has provided part of short term. You know, when your house is under fire, what you need is water. Immediately to put out the fire and salvage some few things. But if you call people, you make an alarm, and people come to your house which is on fire, and then they start assessing how there were faults on the foundation, how there were faults on the quantities of cement. How does that put out the fire? It does not.
Who threw the fire?
Why did you leave the
So what Ugandans want now is water to put out the fire. Then you can discuss the foundations, the proper bill of quantities, and other things later. So, Mr. President, Ugandans are on fire. Don't tell us about supply chains and raw materials and palm oil in Karangara when people are on fire. The impact of fuel, rising fuel costs on schools, will be enormous. Already posho has gone up, the cost of posho. I saw the coverage in Chiseka Market today. I think there's an increment on a bag of posho to almost 30,000 to 50,000. So you can imagine the opening of schools, which is in 2 weeks.
Yes.
So schools need an additional a third of the money they've been spending on feeding children. Last time alone, we had the parents struggling to take back children to school because of COVID lockdown. Some children lost their parents, lost their breadwinners, guardians. But even parents who survived COVID lost income. Schools were operating at half capacity. They were torn between chasing students and closing schools. So you have parents with school fees arrears. Now schools are automatically going to increase fees to be able to feed our children.
Sure.
So what kind of population are we looking at? Can you put out the fire first before you tell us about faults on a foundation and the bill of quantities?
Okay. We need to shift. I'm aware we are left with under 20 minutes, but we need to involve the audience out there. They are the most important. This is about them. We have to sample some of the concerns of the people out there through their questions and comments, and then we touch on the final topic or topics. Isaac B. from Masaka says, Charles, even a mere farmer deep down in Budu is saying the agreement, the coffee agreement, is bad. How does Bwana KK observe issues? Bwana KK is the reference to the Attorney General. Stephen from Bukedea says, why no national discussion about collapse of cotton growing in Bukedi? Could the collapse of cotton growing have been due to a bad deal like this of coffee? Stephen, I will follow up this and find out if there is some entry point to have that discussion. But I'm not aware that it is the same reason, really. Joab Kankiriho says, categorically speaking, Vinci Coffee to me looks like a startup with no track record in the coffee sector. To me, this looks like a few individuals are experimenting with Uganda's coffee. Thank you, Joab. Segavix from Namasuba says, in a country where her political future is uncertain, it is very hard to get even fake investors. We shall only receive financial gamblers. Mugizi Gerald from Shema says, let the concerned bend the law in favor of Ugandans. Mugizi, we don't have to bend the law. We just have to apply. We just have to observe and apply the law as it is. It's already good enough. And those who have read the law, the Constitution, know that we have a good law already. We don't need to bend it. Jonan Tumwebaze from Hoima says, as Ugandans, we need competent investors for serious development. The conundrum of telling the dubbed truth of who is the real Pineti is soon going to come to an end. John from Naguru says, this coffee deal has exposed a lot in our government's dealings. Coffee is soon to be government mineral. Just wait. Martin from Tororo says, Charles, a bar of Ugandan White Star coffee is now 10,000 shillings, while a bar of Kenyan, soap. A bar of Ugandan White Star soap is now 10,000 shillings, while a bar of Kenyan soap is 6,000. That's here in our local markets of Tororo. And you wonder why? That's from Martin from Tororo. Martin, thanks for the information. Finally, Mainja John Bosco from Kawempe says, allow me caution our MPs about the coffee issue. They should go slow about it because it cuts across all political parties, tribes, religion, and so on. I think, like Mainja says, money knows no color, no boundaries. Money is very blind to boundaries. Thanks a lot. Members, we are left with just about 14 minutes or 15, but we have two topics on my hand. I needed you members, each of you, to touch on from each of your perspectives, the death of Kibaki. He died at 90 years, but also the visit of two presidents, Mozambican and Honorable Paul Kagame of Rwanda. So I'm going to give each of you 3 minutes, two and a half minutes, and you touch on the two issues together. Just bundle them up and touch together because it's possible. These are all regional issues. What your thoughts are on, the context is President Museveni went to Mozambique in the case of the Mozambican leader coming here. Mozambique has been having some turmoil, some insecurity, and Rwanda is already deployed. Rwanda has deployed troops to Mozambique to help quell the insecurity there. And President Museveni went there 4 years ago, I think 2018 or 2019. And one of the things he has suggested is that there is no problem if Uganda has to deploy troops there. And we have been known for deploying troops within the region. But there are questions of political interactions. There is the question of security. There is the question of economic, interactions as well. As for Rwanda, coming here, again, 4 years since Kagame last interacted here with our president here, And we all know the kind of bad blood that has, has been simmering between the two countries, with the moments which really peaked at one time, fears of the two countries even going to war. And then the good news is that President Kagame comes and participates in the birthday of the first son as well. But that was one of the things. But the main discussion was really issues of trade, issues of border security. So I'm going to start with, I don't know whether to start with the lady or the gentleman on my extreme left. Sarah, you want to start. Your views on these issues and touch on the death of Kibaki.
I will start with the gentle giant.
In 2 minutes each.
Of the region, my Kibaki. Whenever I go to Nairobi, and this is a place we go to very often because of the work we do as civil society, like in every 2 months, really, I make a trip to Nairobi. The testimony of local Kenyans you meet at the airport, carrying luggage, checking the really low-level Kenyans, is that Mwai Kibaki promised an economy that works and delivered it. Everybody will tell you they enjoyed Kenya economically at the time of Mwai Kibaki more than any other leader they've had. So I think, to me, to have a leader who walks the talk, a leader who remains respected as a gentleman, whether as a leader of opposition, whether as a president, whether in any other capacity, like he played so many, many leadership roles in Kenya, is something that we largely lack in Africa. It is rare to have a leader whose word you can take to the bank and go and sleep comfortably. Our breed of leaders is, even when they talk so well, you get more scared. You know that those are white lies. No leader can talk, especially in Uganda, and then you go and sleep a happy citizen. You really start second guessing what they are up to if they can talk so well. So I think we need to honor this man, and where possible, really emulate his characteristic of leadership that is largely lacking in Africa. On Mozambique is faced with the insurgents that are locally known as Al-Shabaab, but not linked to the Al-Shabaab in Somalia, but they are seeking to establish an Islamic State, and they pay allegiance to the international Islamic group that is so deadly. So I think Africa as a continent, they need to take a stand on this terrorism that are now regional and moving and cutting across many countries, and stamp it out at once. It's unfortunate that we have shaky security collaborations, especially on the eastern and the southern side, because West Africa has very firm security cooperations under ECOWAS and ECOMOG establishment. And the same applies to DRC and the question of Rwanda and Uganda, really. And I wouldn't want to discuss a birthday that's supposed to be private. Because if the Queen's, I think the Queen of England is one single important political figure globally with an established monarch. He's going to celebrate his 96th birthday, but all her birthdays are private. The only Republic issue is a gun salute in central London. So who are we to start now glorifying individuals and discussing private issues? I really wouldn't wish a show as important as this one to start discussing private birthdays. But everybody makes a birthday every year. So it's really, there's no big deal.
But
so
if you
for
can
no, really, we all do birthdays whenever we can. and it's very unfortunate that it comes at a time when Ugandans are struggling. Ugandans are faced with so much hardships, and you want to glorify a few Ugandans that are born in privilege that can afford champagne when many families are sleeping hungry. So I think to me really that should remain private. But on Uganda-Rwanda relations, first of all, there was no need why they should have been that disparity in my view. Socially interlinked, regionally collaborating, a lot of trade, a lot of movements, and then two individuals disrupt the lives of so many people. So I think, first of all, it shouldn't have happened. I'm glad it has ended, but I've been informed that the trade, as much as the borders are open, the free movement, and Kasita can tell us, I've been informed that goods are not freely moving from one side to another. And I think really if these people can sit and dine together, even that should be waived so that traders are free to enjoy the free movement of goods, persons, and services in the East African community.
Thank you very much. Honorable Mapenduzi.
Well, I'll start differently. First, Dr. Sarah painted a very terrible image of the kind of leaders we have in this country. Dr. Sarah, do not lose hope.
No, but is it true or false?
No, well, let me just say this, because I think part of what I need to do is to
give hope,
to keep on reminding you that you don't need to lose hope. We have bad and good leaders, and I don't want to believe that all the leaders in this country are bad. But we are a country. We need to continue having this discussion, but also need to continue.
And we can do better, I believe.
Yes, we need to continue improving where we are not doing well. But just about the former president of Kenya, the late Mwai Kibaki, may his soul rest in peace, obviously did a lot of positive things for his country. Remember, this is a gentleman who joined politics in 1963, around 1963. Wow. He took part in writing the Constitution of Kenya after independence. And he was in Parliament for about 5 decades. And so he played a big role. But also we need to appreciate that, yes, there are things that, you know, when President Mwai Kibaki was campaigning in 2002, when he wanted to become president of Kenya, he rose on the promise of fighting corruption in his country. And indeed, when he came, there was a lot of hope. But again, things that never worked the way it was supposed to be. The corruption level in Kenya just went up. And so many foreign countries came in, and just like we are crying about this company that is trying to play around with our coffee. Many companies, there are many reports and where foreign companies came and milk terribly the economy of Kenya. But also, when you look at the incident of 2007, the post-election violence, where over 1,000 people lost their lives, it became tribal, and I think that gave a very bad image of Kenya. But later on, I think Kenyans have come to realize that, yes, sometimes there are positive things that you do and people do not appreciate immediately, just as you put it. Last month, I was in Nairobi, and we were moving with some cab driver. And the gentleman, a taxi driver, who tell you this flyover is built by Kibaki, the other one is started by this, and Kenyans know, and they can tell you. And he did quite a commendable job in the education system, in the health sector, and also later on tried after the turmoil, after the post-election, a lot of efforts were made to reconcile the country and all that. So when you put what he did, the positive and the negative, I think he did a lot more positive for his country. And today many Kenyans are talking about those positive parts, and hopefully they will learn from that, because right now Kenya is going through an electoral process. I hope they will learn from that and not have a repeat of 2007, but also build their country better, because in Africa people talk a lot about the positive things when we are normal. So generally, he did a commendable job that needs to be appreciated. Finally, Ladit Charles, about let's talk about the birthday. Mine is on 4th of October. that's when I'll be making.
Everybody has a birthday.
Yeah, that's when I'll be making 42. So it's not a problem. First, we don't apply to be born. It's by God's grace, and so it's not wrong to celebrate. How somebody celebrates, I don't think I need to talk about it.
No,
and I don't think it's a problem for many people to come.
Yeah. No, you can have as many as you want.
Yes, it's okay. And also, I'm not going to talk about how much somebody spent, because if somebody spent his money, or friends came together to celebrate, it's good. Celebration is okay. Celebrating birthdays is good. All right? And when mine comes, depending on where it will find me, you never know. You may find me in the farm or elsewhere. So for me, but where I think the positive part of it is that the president of Rwanda came in the name of celebrating the birthday. And remember, for close to 4 years, there were a lot of issues. And then Lieutenant General Muhoozi started going to Rwanda. I have read from his tweets, in the name of visiting his uncle. And then later on, it got into talking about relationship, how things can get better. So for me, seeing the president of Rwanda coming to celebrate the birthday, but ending up having a discussion with the president on issues to do with our two countries, the region, global, and is a positive development. Okay. I think they need to do more. They need to continue having the discussion. Sometimes you don't build relationships in one day. Things can go bad gradually. Hopefully, the two countries will have a much stronger relationship and all that. And it doesn't matter who brings the relationship back. Sometimes you use your, if two brothers are not having issues.
You can even use your spouses.
You can send the children, because if you transfer your anger onto the children, then you are wicked.
So even in the Bible, I think it is talked about.
So this is positive. It's okay.
God sent his son in order to...
It's okay. The only part where many people are concerned is when you close roads, you begin to disorganize other people and all that. I think that's not necessary.
Okay.
You celebrate your birthday, but let me also continue with my business. Don't close my road.
Okay. Yeah. Honorable Mara.
Thank you, Charles. On late President Mwai Kibaki, I just want to summarize it this way. We really need to celebrate him. Why? Because he was a leader of Kenya for a very long time. He was the finance minister that helped to transform Kenya in very many ways. When he was taking over from the late President Arap Moi, the President Moi gave a very powerful speech while Kibaki was on a wheelchair. I think he had an accident.
He had got that motor accident during the campaign.
Yes. And he said to Kenyans, I'm handing you over to a very credible man, to a leader of our time who has helped me and Kenya to grow to this stage. And it was a very powerful speech. And indeed, Mwai Kibaki took over from Kenya. And in Kenya, and I think in East Africa, he is known as the father of infrastructure. Mm-hmm. He built the foundation for a modern transport system in Kenya. And as Honorable Mapinduzi has said, every leader that came after him now tried to build on the success stories that he had made. So if you go to Kenya, there is no border. The infrastructure is great, less potholes. So I think our Minister for Kampala and Mayor Lukwago needs to learn something from our neighbors in Kenya. On the regional peace, which we have seen with the coming of President Kagame and also the President of Mozambique. Charles, the East African community is now moving very fast towards, now we are in a common market, moving towards a monetary union and political integration. Now, if those protocols are not kept and leaders promote mistrust, then there's no way we are going to achieve progress in the region. Before COVID came and before Kenya closed borders 4 years ago, there was a positive balance of trade between us and Rwanda rather, of about $70 million. Yeah. Now, the coming of President Kagame to Uganda is a very positive landmark again. And I want to thank General Muhoozi for doing the subtle diplomacy between Uganda and Rwanda. So it is a great achievement for us. I think we need to celebrate it. We need strategic peace and security within the region for us to promote trade and build the synergies that the East African people need, so that we have that intra-East African trade and also intra-African trade. Mozambique is where the president, what should I say, learned the issue of the revolution and really begin to do the transformation, as it were. It is actually his Mecca. So I think because of what he did in Uganda, those people have found an opportunity to really come and learn from the man himself. Hopefully, I hope he will be able to provide information how the president can stabilize his country as well. So we need peace in the region. We need to promote trade, which is a vital component of why we need to make progress. I thank you.
Thank you so much. Musoke.
Thank you, Charles. Mainly like on Kenya side, the late Chibachi, I'm going to talk like mainly as a person who started trading from Kenya. Before, Ugandans, we used to find a seriously hard time trading in Kenya. You know, the police in Kenya could arrest Ugandans, even if you have even the visa. Even if one time I remember when I was in Kenya, I showed them, you see, I have my passport. But they tried to trace us as Ugandans. So we had to rush and get into the restaurant. So we reached the restaurant, they had to call us from the restaurant. So they told us where are the passports, we showed them. How do you come into Kenya? We showed them the visa. But they were, you know what we want? We want money in the broad daylight. That was in Kenya. That was in Kenya.
Under Moi, under which region?
Yes, under Moi.
Yeah.
But when Chibachi came in, he sincerely facilitated the environment for trade. And I don't know, because he had an attachment with Uganda, but you find that now the trade had to totally improve between Uganda and Kenya. And we who started trading in Kenya had to develop and then started to trade even with Dubai and China. So it's very unfortunate for his passing out. I mean, the Almighty Lord rest him in peace. And secondly, about Rwanda, the President Kagame visiting Uganda. You know, at times we had several engagement with the ministers and what, but they told us, you know, that issue is very sensitive. You know, those people have that personal attachment. And you know, we had colleagues here. Even when you tell me, what is your tribe? You know, I'm from Tolo. They could even fear to say that I'm from Rwanda. So by the way, this is a very great development that now the relationship has totally improved. And then we, as the businessmen, we think that whenever the situation has harmonized, there are opportunities created. We just pray so that opportunity is maintained. You know, at times politics, we traders, at times we shall be forced to get into politics, because politics influences everything.
True.
There is no way now you could go to Rwanda when the borders were closed. And even when the borders, you know, at first when the first son went to Rwanda, they told us now the borders were open. So traders were very excited, trying to go there, and they say now you are restricted. So we try, for us what we are praying for is to harmonize the operations. And even creating the East African community. You know, we have a serious challenge. You know, we have been so excited, even bringing Congo on board, that now the market has widened. But if the market has widened, as we build the local capacity, can we see that local Ugandans benefit in this bigger market? For us as local Ugandans, that's the prayer we're having. Because we think that when the market widens, the more opportunities. Like when I find that I cannot sell my goods here in Uganda, I can rush to Congo. We're already making deals to sell meat to Congo. We have colleagues who have gone there. And even we are organizing special trips to Congo and Rwanda to see how can we unite the business community through the East African Business Council. Because we thought as we people in the private sector, we have an upper role to influence policies which can affect the private sector. The more the private sector is affected, just know there will be chaos in the economy.
True. Thanks. Yes, Honorable Mara, quick.
Just a quick one. As a committee of finance, we were at the border, Katuna border. Even the time when they said that the borders have been open. It was just unfortunate, by the way, that only one truck leaves in a day. And that truck goes to DRC.
With strict restrictions.
So, and it's not because of our fault. Uganda has been very magnanimous, non-combative, and so forth. Now, the fact that the President Kagame came to Uganda and had bilateral discussions, he should now release the border freely, allow the Rwandese to come and for our trucks to go. Otherwise, his coming and visit would be totally meaningless.
Good, thank you. Finally, Brandon.
I'll start with the Rwanda visit. First of all, this is like homecoming. We all know that President Kagame has a lot of history in Uganda. He studied here. He's also been in Jinja sometime.
He was in Gulu too.
He was also in Gulu. He was trained here. He has worked here. And
he grew up here.
And actually, we know that in our constitution we also have Uganda, Rwandese. So this is a homecoming. I don't want to be sarcastic, to use the other word in the Bible, of a son who goes away and comes back home.
Prodigal.
As an ex-seminarian, I wouldn't want to use that. But this is a homecoming. Like Council said, we share a lot. We share a lot. Yeah, we share a lot with Rwanda. And you know, if there is any unique, Uganda is a landlocked country, we all know. We need to have peace. We need to connect. We need to move in and out. So if politics fails, and then someone goes to his uncle to reach out something, he's a Ugandan. So if this other Ugandan in the names of General Muhoozi reaches out the uncle and the uncle comes, sometimes you can see it. I have seen people go out to have fun in the bar. You meet a girl and later she becomes your wife. You even go to church. So if a birthday brought into something, maybe this was, you know, in Uganda these days there is a word they say, okwetega. So maybe this birthday was kwetega, that we kwetega.
My people out there are international. They might.
I think it will be like stage manage yourself and get something. So if we can use all possible ways to have peace and to trade nicely, I wouldn't have any problem. Like Honorable Mapendu said, on the 11th of August, I'll also be 30-something. So maybe in Kagoma there, we can do something and invite all of you from Kampala. And then we toast to that, because now we have gotten a precedence that some things can happen. But of course,
I'll carry my God from Gulu.
But as a young generation, of course, I would like to congratulate General Muhoozi. Congratulations upon your many years. And then coming to Kenya, I would not repeat what my colleagues said. I've given good submission, but I will highlight that the late president facilitated. I've been following. I wanted to be a member of parliament since 2011, when I was very small, when I left the university in the Netherlands where I was studying. And when I came to Kagoma, so many people laughed and said, look at this boy. And those days I would put on shorts and sleeveless and slippers, and I told them I want to change, that from the shorts I can be a member of parliament. Indeed, here I am. But he facilitated the process of constitutionalism. When you look at the post-election in 2007, and then how this constitution, the gentility in him that they made to sit in Africa, had never had, unless it happened anywhere, that a president in Africa, they can nullify the elections and then they have re-elections. But because he created an atmosphere that this constitution was facilitated, such a thing happened in Kenya. And then also an environment where ex-president can sit comfortably without interfering in the matters of the nation. Yes. And then you have also the president. So as a young generation, we look up to that. I thought I should stress, because the rest, the seniors have talked about them, they are the same and we've read about them. I think that is very remarkable that we can also see, we can have presidents, these people. I stopped, I have a duty, I'm married somewhere else, so whenever I go to my in-laws, they always ask. I told them I've stopped comparing Uganda to European countries. I compare Uganda to Kenya, because this is an immediate reflection. Why? Yeah. Because we have great men that have facilitated this. So I implore the rest of the Ugandans. And the council, I would like still to give you hope, because for us Christians, every day we have hope. Even after church, you'll find people on the street telling you at this roundabout here that Jesus loves you when you are from church. But this person is still reminding you that Jesus loves you. We have been looking at when Mapendus was chairman. I would look at Chairman Mapendus at slating from a hotel in Gulu on TV. I'm like, I want to be like, at one time I wanted to be an LC5. So when I heard he wants to be an MP, so we still have people. We still have people like Chairman Mapendus, and then Honorable Mara living his comfortable economic life to join this providing solutions to people every day. So I believe, learning from late President, we have a lot to learn, and we would like to appreciate as Africans, especially in Uganda. I know President Museveni is a Pan-Africanist who loves. We should really look into that direction and make this Uganda better. Lastly, I still whip my members of Parliament tomorrow. Let us go and stand, we listen to this report, and do what is expected of us to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Brandon, the caucus spokesperson. You're doing a good job. I follow, and many times I like following without making a comment, and because I have this forum where I can make a comment from. So you continue doing that good job, and we are proud. Thank you so much, Mr. Musoke, Kasita chairperson, and we pray that you continue engaging with us, with these MPs, so that our people can then benefit. To Honorable Omara, Honorable Mapenduzi, and Councillor Sarah, thank you very much for always finding time and to come and share your...
Honorable Omara is about to earn another title, Lawitong.
Oh.
Which one is that?
He can tell you more about it.
What's that in English?
A cultural leader.
Becoming a cultural leader.
I have a cultural leader. Yeah. He's a good boy.
I'm not saying you are pushing him out. I'm saying you're about to earn your own.
Thank you very much, gentlemen and lady. And I want to say, condolences to our Kenyan friends and brothers and sisters from Kenya. And at 90 years, that's a life well lived. And many Ugandans, of course, especially those who went to Makerere, also relate with the Kibaki, because he was one of the OBs from Makerere. He did economics from here. I think he was. I think he wasn't he the first first class student in economics.
Yeah, that's very brilliant.
Yes, of Makerere University. So, so he was an OB, and we relate at that level, and may his soul rest in peace. Yeah. And to the rest of the audience here, thank you very much, and let's keep engaging online at it's the hashtag UBC behind the headlines. The discussions continue, and this program is usually rebroadcast every Thursday, I think from 10. Look out for it from 10. But online, you can always get it on YouTube and watch the full program, the full 2 hours. Otherwise, thank you very much. Keep it here at Behind the Headlines. Keep it here at UBC. Great programs that come your way from here. Until next week, God bless you. Good night. Bye-bye.
Even with my grandson, a doctor at my side, I struggled to get the help I needed. But he saw something that day. He began to work day and night. He wouldn't quit, even when people said no.